Yeah.
Even now, just rehashing these numbers, this seems criminal.
They've continued to get worse and worse.
Be illegal.
Hello and welcome to episode 508 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. I'm Nathan Fox. With me is Ben Olson. We're the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and the LSAT Demon Daily podcast. First item on our agenda today, Ben, is about the impact of debt. So, Ben, a few weeks ago, you mentioned the idea that applicants are particularly bad at understanding just how much 6 figures of student loans actually is. We believe that this is intentional on the part of schools. They do a good job of trying to hide it from you. Demon team member David did some research to illustrate the reality of living with student loans. He pulled data from LawHub's debt to income ratio for each school. Then he converted the median salaries into monthly pay to compare with median monthly loan payments based on the median amount borrowed. David added, quote, "One thing I wanted to flag, I made the income calculations based on a 10-year standard repayment plan. Many people will repay on longer, like 25-year plans, or the Repay program." That's an acronym, I guess, REPAYE. That might be like income-based repayment. But David says, if you can't make the payments on the standard payment program, you should rethink whether the debt is worth it. The LawHub calculator notes, quote, "The federal government does, however, provide hardship programs to lessen the burden of monthly student loan obligations for those in financial hardship. The graduate at every ABA-approved law school who makes the median earnings with the median amount borrowed qualifies for revised pay-as-you-earn." That's Repay, one of the programs. And that is, income-based repayment. The point is, according to David, and we've got this part in bold here in our show notes, the federal government automatically considers the average law school graduate to be in financial hardship. And we've got some numbers, I guess, to back that up. So what's going on at Yale?
Okay, yeah. So at Yale, the median borrowed is $126,000. The median monthly payment on a 10-year plan is $1,300. Median gross income is $131,000. That's about $11,000 a month. And the percentage of gross income towards debt payments is 12%. Okay.
That's a lot. But I'm sure it's going to get worse as we go down further in the rankings.
Yeah, that's Yale. Okay, let's go to Wash U.
That's Yale, where the median, not the mean, but the median gross income coming out of Yale is $131,000. The median gross income is not going to be anything close to that at some of the schools farther down the list.
Totally. I mean, Yale is number one. They've been number one forever. And that's what you're looking at. And I think most people go into law school expecting to make substantially more than that. They hear about big law salaries of $200,000. Okay. Anyways, Wash U, which is ranked 14th, the median borrowed is $88,000. So
Wash U gives a lot of scholarships. They also don't charge quite as high tuition.
Yep. Okay. The median monthly payment on a 10-year plan is $900. The median gross income is $93,000, or about $8,000 a month. The percentage of gross incomes towards debt payments is also about 12%. So they're charging less, but people are making less, and so you're still ending up paying about 12%.
Still paying 12% of your income every month. That's 12% of your gross, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's a much higher percentage of your net. I mean, I would assume that you're going to be paying, 30-something% state and local, federal and state taxes. I don't even know if Missouri has a state income tax, but point is, 12% of your gross could be 20% of your net. Just every month, 20% of your take-home pay going straight to pay off your student loans for 10 damn years.
Yeah. And what's crazy too is a lot of times I think folks are coming out of a living situation where maybe a decent portion of their expenses have been covered by their parents. So they think, wow, I only have to pay 12% of my gross or 20% of what I take home. And it's like, yeah, but when you have a bunch of other expenses, including rent or maybe even a mortgage and food and,
Yeah.
God forbid, children, all of a sudden, yeah, these
Suits
things.
for your fancy new job,
Yep.
right? The BMW, because I'm a fancy lawyer now. I got to keep up with the Joneses here at
Yeah.
the firm.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how precipitously, Ben, the median gross income drops off when you go
Yeah.
from Yale down to, I mean, Wash U is a top 14 school this year,
Yeah.
right? So Wash U is a T14 now, and the median graduate is making significantly less than six figures.
Yep. All right. We have William and Mary. They're ranked 31st, and the median borrowed is $106,000. Okay. So that's higher than Wash U. The median monthly payment on a 10-year plan is $1,100. Median gross income is $70,000 or $6,000 a month.
Hmm.
Percentage of gross income towards debt payments is 18.5%. Wow. So that's again on gross. So what we're talking 30% of your income immediately turn around and paid towards debt. Okay. UC San Francisco, 88th in the country. Median borrow. Oh, this is disturbing. Okay, so up to this point, Yale, the median borrowed was 126. Then we had 88 at Wash U. We had 105 at William and Mary. Now we're at UC San Francisco. You're dramatically lower in the rankings. This is clearly a regional school. The median borrowed is $196,000. So
Yep.
we're looking at almost $200,000. The median monthly payment on a 10-year plan, not surprisingly, it's going to be higher. It's $2,000 a month. The median gross income, though, has dropped. So the amount borrowed has gone up dramatically. The amount earned has continued to drop. We're now at $66,000 a year, or about $5,500 a month. That puts the percentage of gross incomes towards debt payments at 36.48%. Holy shit. So that's going to be half your income after taxes.
Half your
at
net.
least.
Yeah. Half your net income. I mean, it just like, is that not just so hideous? By the way, we should
How
warn.
could you sell that to anyone?
Yeah. When I went to UC San Francisco Law, it was called UC Hastings Law. It was ranked about 40th in the country in 2008 when I went there.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I graduated, it had fallen to 50th in the country. It's continued to fall in the rankings now, all the way down to 88.
Mm-hmm.
But have they lowered their prices? No. There's kind of I remember my dad telling me, or it's just like kind of a homespun phrase. Have you ever heard the phrase, like it's something like, well, you've got champagne dreams on a beer budget?
Yeah, I've heard something.
ever heard
I
that?
think I've heard something different, but yeah, that idea. Yeah, yeah.
Schools like this charge champagne prices, and then they give you a beer income when you come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? You're going to go $196,000 into debt. That's the median borrowed, by the way. I'm not sure that accounts for interest over the couple years that accumulates.
Well, and
But
there's something else we need to talk about. That's a median. So when we're done with this discussion, we need to talk about how these numbers could actually be radically worse because we're comparing median borrowed to median gross income. But those,
yeah, it lies a little bit. It does lie a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But even at the median, it's already just a horrendous investment. I mean, this is just like a sheer loser.
a hard
If someone,
no. Yeah.
a hard L. If someone told you, look, you're going to invest. I got an investment for you.
Yep.
Okay. You're going to invest $196,000 that you don't have, by the way. You're going to borrow the $196,000.
You're going to take a loan.
And it's going to start accumulating interest. But this is an investment that you're making in your future. This loan that you're taking out is an investment. Okay. Yeah, because what's going to happen is 4 years later, right? 3 years of law school, take
You
the
gotta
bar, get barred finally, get a job. Like 3.5 years later, you're going to get paid back $66,000 a year. Oh, but by the way, you do have to work 50 hours a week for that.
Yeah. And you have to go to
And
law
that's
school.
your investment. Yeah, first you have to go to law school for 3 years, so you can't work, can't make any money during that time. Then you come out making like really making $66,000 in San Francisco?
Yeah. Why don't you just
Okay.
look for jobs right now that don't require you to pay $200,000 and could pay you immediately now and could pay you more than $66,000 a year?
Yeah. I mean, these people are going to come out and they're going to be in basically poverty. They're going to be in, and it's going to like your future is going to get worse and worse because you're going to probably go into income-based repayment. Like
Mm-hmm.
the government's going to look at your income and look at your amount that you're supposed to pay every month, $2,000 on a
Yeah.
$66,000 gross income coming out of Hastings. And they're going to then go, well, wait a second, that's 36.5% of your gross income. There's no way you can, like, you'll die, like you'll starve to death.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put you into income-based repayment,
Mm-hmm.
which means we'll knock down your payment. But all they do is then just add the difference to your principal. So
you're
you could be like, instead of paying $2,000 a month, you could pay $1,000 a month, but also your balance is going to be going up, not down. You keep making $1,000 a month payment and your balance just keeps increasing because you're not even paying the interest on the debt.
This is so crazy because we talk about this every week, every other day. We've been talking about this for 6 years, right? How long has this
Yeah.
podcast been going?
Yeah.
Even now, just rehashing these numbers, this seems criminal.
They've continued to get worse
should
and worse.
be illegal. I
It-
mean,
it kinda seems like
the
it. Yeah.
absolutely like worst public policy you could invent.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. And it does get worse. At Hastings, sorry, UC Law SF,
Mm,
at this school, there are 10 people there who are on a full ride plus something. There
mhm.
are another 179 people there who are getting more than a 50% discount, and that could include full tuition.
Yeah.
So there's 17% of the student population that is paying nothing or less than half,
Mhm.
probably often significantly less than half.
Mhm.
Those people tend to get the better end of the jobs.
Yeah.
The people who borrow less, they're there because of higher LSAT, higher GPA. That's why they got the scholarship.
Yep.
Well, then they compete with you during your 1L year for grades, and those grades are highly determinative of whether you get on-campus interviewing, whether you end up getting the summer jobs at the big firms that later lead to the big money. So, there aren't that many people at a school like this that are getting big money. But the
Mhm.
people who do get the big money, the people who are making over the $66,000 median, tend to be people that borrowed less than the median.
Well, and as you just pointed out, potentially they didn't borrow anything and
Right.
they got paid to attend.
Right. Meanwhile, flip it, consider the other side of the bargain. There are 15%, only 15% of the
Mhm.
student population at UC Hastings that pays full tuition.
Yeah.
Those 15%, the reason why they pay full tuition is because they had bad undergraduate grades and or bad LSAT. They then get outcompeted largely. There's exceptions, but largely they get outcompeted for grades during their 1L year. They don't get the on-campus interviews. They don't get the big money jobs. So the people who borrow more end up making less.
Well, scarily, they may not make anything. I mean, these
Oh, they
folks
may
might
not.
not pass the bar. They may just go get a barista job to try to, as you put it, prevent themselves from starving, right? Like,
I'm guessing that Starbucks pays like $25 an hour in San Francisco, right? I mean, you could
yeah,
make 50 grand working 40 hours a week at
yeah,
Starbucks.
yeah,
And many of these lawyers are going to be, even if they can pass the bar and they can get an actual JD required job, they're going to end. I mean, The median is 66,000. That means 50% of the people make less than that. Imagine how
Okay.
low it is, Ben. It's like the George Carlin bit of like, imagine how dumb the average person is.
Hmm.
Now consider the fact that half of the people are dumber than that.
Yeah.
Imagine how low it is, Ben, to invest $196,000
Or more.
and then only make 66,000. Now imagine that half the people borrow more than that
Yep.
and half the people make less than that.
Yeah. So wait, let's just clarify that really carefully here. Half the people borrow more than $196,000.
Yeah.
And those same people are very likely to be the people who make less than the 66,000.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
it's so bad.
Yeah. And not only is it not illegal, but it's sanctioned
Federally
by the U.S.
subsidized.
Department of Education.
It's sanctioned and subsidized. It's
Yeah.
subsidization promotes this activity in the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
So it's
Now,
a
I'm gonna
public
get all
policy
on
that's
board.
total shit.
If Lyndon McMahon gets onto this and they come in and shut this down, I'm gonna have to admit that they did something good in Washington,
Yeah.
because I just don't see how this is sustainable. I mean, and you even see at the top, right, that text that was provided at the top from David.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're like acknowledging that you're gonna have hardship. Then they're acknowledging, oh, there are government programs to blah blah blah, and it's like, well, there were. I mean, depending on who is in the White House in the future, maybe there will be again. But right now, they're doing everything they can to shut down all of these loan forgiveness programs. And I have to say, it kind of seems sensible to, like, I just don't see why debt relief is a good idea, because you got to fix the root of the problem first.
Mm-hmm.
If
Debt relief actually just puts fuel on the fire, because it's like, oh,
absolutely.
okay, I can take out a loan and it's going to get forgiven later anyway. So now let's pump even more money into the law school system or university
Absolutely.
system generally.
No, I mean, if the student loan program wasn't there to begin with, they wouldn't charge these prices. They wouldn't be able to give some kids full rides who then go get the better jobs while charging other people full price. Those kids get the worst jobs. I mean, you could put Band-Aids on it by forgiving loans to people who got ripped off in the past. But I want to talk about the people that are getting ripped off now. And
what's going to happen
next
today?
year.
Yeah.
We've been yelling about this on Thinking LSAT for 10 years, and it's only gotten worse and worse and worse every single year.
Well, take a look at this. So there's one last school that David provided. That's John Marshall Law School in Atlanta.
God.
It's
Yeah,
ranked
wow.
180th, which is the lowest ranking you can get, because there's just a bunch of schools at the bottom there that are all tied for 180th. The median borrowed is 180,000 or 181.
See, there's the
Yeah.
champagne prices, right? Where it's like, wait, what now?
Yeah, and you're not even getting beer. You're getting like a solo cup with water in it, or maybe dirt water.
Dirt water. I mean, you're not in the top 14. You're not in the top 50. You're not in the top 100. You're literally the bottom, barely ABA accredited.
How can you charge that price? You could not charge that price in any sort of functioning market.
No, I mean,
You wouldn't actually even exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, right. The school would not exist if it weren't for these student loans.
Yep. 100%. The monthly median payment is $1,900. The monthly gross income is $42,000. That puts
Holy shit.
That puts the percentage of gross income towards debt payments at 53%. So in reality, after you get rid of your taxes, you're paying what, 75% of your income, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love to
That's
know
not
the
possible.
percentage. I would like to know the percentage of graduates at this school that go into income-based repayment, because I'm imagining it's like 100%. Just that's how it is at that school. Nobody is paying.
Or is it even worse? Like, okay, some percentage are going into income-based repayment. The other are just completely defaulted. There's just no activity whatsoever. It's like, huh? I can't make these
Not
payments.
even paying their income-based prepayment.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
just like default on the loan. Wow.
Oh,
If you're interested in looking at your particular school, any school that you're interested in, you can go to lawhub.org and you can look at the debt to income ratio information. We'll link that page in the show notes. Oh, by the way, this is the data that we have here is apparently from 2017 graduates. I guarantee that has only gotten worse in recent years, but I guess that's the most recently calculated information on LawHub.
cool.
Ouch. Oh my God. We would love to know what you think about the issue. Find us on thinkinglsat.com and leave us a comment or ask us a question. Please also, reach out to us on any of the socials. We're at LSAT Demon. We would love to hear from folks. If we're getting any part of this wrong, please let us know, because we're just trying to figure it all out. But it seems to me like it's a pretty obvious scam.
Yeah. Yeah.
And bad public policy.
It's very bad public policy. And there appears to be nothing that we can do in that regard. But what we can do, and this is what we're trying to do, is tell everyone who's listening to this right now to either not go to law school, or if you go, don't set yourself up to need any sort of loan from the federal government, especially if you already have undergrad student debt.
Yeah. At a bare minimum,
Yeah.
look at the financing picture of the school that you're interested in. I mean, if you go to lsatdemon.com/scholarships, you'll see our scholarship estimator tool.
Mm-hmm.
That tool uses last year's data, and it does a pretty damn good job of predicting what kinds of scholarships you would have gotten that year based on just publicly available data from the 509 reports.
Yeah.
But look at your school and click into the schools that you're seriously considering and look at how much money people paid or didn't pay at your school. I mean, when you see, because like if you look at a, UC Law SF doesn't actually give that many giant scholarships. It's just wildly overpriced. And maybe it's just because there's a lot of people in San Francisco Bay Area who couldn't get into Berkeley or Stanford. So they settled for Hastings. It's a huge school charging a ton of money. They don't tend to give that many full rides. But when you look at, like we were just earlier talking about WashU, when you click into a school like WashU, you're going to see 13% of the people there paying nothing and getting a stipend.
Yeah.
You're going to see another 8% who are getting a full tuition and all their fees covered. So now you're up to 21% who don't pay a dime, plus another 62% who get more than a 50% discount, leaving only 4% who pay full price and 13% who pay even anything over half price, right? 17%, Ben, that pay half price or more at that school, which means like you're a sucker. I mean, you're lining yourself up to get ripped off. If 83% of the school is paying less than half and you're paying full price, oh my God.
Wait, how many people is that? 17% is what? How many people?
There's 30 people there who pay full price. That's 4% of the student body.
Yep.
Plus 13% is 108 students. It's a total of 138 students.
Wow.
Who are paying, Chris Murphy's tuition.
So it's very likely that if we went to that university, we showed up on campus and found any one of those 138 people, that they would have no clue what other people are paying.
One would think, because how can that possibly be worth it? I mean, maybe you're the child of, Stan Musial, St. Louis Cardinals great. And you, or like the Bush, BUSCH, the beer magnate.
Sure.
if you're like part of that St. Louis Bush family, and you've got unlimited money and you just want to go to law school in St. Louis, more power to you. Of course you can afford to sport all these people who are getting full ride scholarships. Why not? Your parents are billionaires. Okay, fine. But if you're borrowing money, and And they are, right? We just
Mm-hmm.
we just looked at it at Wash U. The median borrowed is $88,000.
Mm-hmm.
So more, half the people who borrow more than that. So apparently it's not just like billionaires' kids who are paying full price. It's
Yeah.
also just like normal schmoes. And I think you're right, Ben, that those people must not know the deal, because
Mm.
if they knew the deal, I assume they would think that was wildly unfair.
Yeah, there'd be a mix of anger and repulsion and just say no thank you. But they accepted this and then went out and got a loan and started paying it. And they're near the bottom, most likely they're near the bottom of their class, which means now they probably didn't even get on-campus interviews.
No, those, the median income again at Wash U is 93,000, but half the people make less than that. And it is going to be highly concentrated in the people who borrowed more than 88,000. So the medians there don't really tell the full story.
Okay. Yeah, let us know what you think.
All applicants can do is get the best LSAT they can and apply early and apply broadly and wait for the scholarship offers to come in and then make a savvy decision. That starts with your undergraduate GPA, and the next step is LSAT. We have a free class coming up that I would invite everybody to. It's called RC Prediction Fundamentals with Josh. And you might have seen Josh on the LSAT Demon Daily podcast. That's Wednesday, June 18th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. All you need is a Demon free account to register. So go to lsatdemon.com, sign up for a free account, register yourself for that RC Fundamentals class coming up with Josh. That's been one of our more popular offerings lately, by the way, for our Demon Live subscribers. So it's just going to be a version of that class that people pay for totally for free with Josh. So come learn from Josh, ask your questions, get that killer LSAT that's going to change your price you pay by tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, awesome. So the 2025-2026 LSAT schedule has been released. You can find all this at lsat.link/dates. Again, that's lsat.link/dates. Is there anything here that sticks out to you?
No, I mean, it looks like pretty much exactly last year's calendar. There's a test in August, September, October, and November of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are tests in January, February, April, and June
Yep.
of 26. Presumably, then they will, around this time next year, they'll release the next cycle dates. And I would assume that they'll be again August, September, October, November for the remainder of 2026. Only real change, I think, is that they increased the price.
Wait, what?
Well, it was $238 to take the LSAT, and now it's $248 to take the LSAT. So, steadily increasing the prices. Credential assembly service is also going up. It was $207 that you had to pay so that they could do you the service of aggregating your personal statement, letters of recommendation, transcripts, all that stuff. It has to go through credential assembly service. Letters of recommendation, everything goes through credential assembly service in the United States. They don't have that in Canada. But in the States, you got to do it through CAS. That was $207. Now it's $215. So, you're going to want to save your pennies if you're thinking about going to law school. Time for Pearls versus Turds. Seems like it's been a while since we've done this. Today we have a Pearls versus Turds double header. You want to read the first item? This is where we take a piece of received wisdom from the internet and we decide whether it's actually a pearl of wisdom or if it's another turd for the turd pile.
Demon team member David sent in an ask question that he got and then answered. That's through the ask button. Here's the question. A student wrote that he learned from some other company that he shouldn't pick answers that seem too obvious, especially on harder questions. He then proceeded to not pick the correct answer because it seemed too easy. He wanted to know why LSAT Demon never talks about not picking the answer that seems too obvious, and if that's a good or bad approach. Wow, that's actually kind of funny because we do talk about this, but we talk about it in the opposite way.
Yeah, that is laughably bad advice. That is definitely a turd. I'm going to update our scoreboard. That's the 82nd turd that we have discussed on the Thinking LSAT podcast. We just wrote a book called The LSAT is Easy. It's one of the main mistakes that students make is they have like imposter syndrome and they feel like they can't understand. They can't do it. Oh, it's hard, you know. I was gonna pick that. I mean, that one made sense to me, but I didn't pick it because it seemed too obvious. So I picked this other answer that I don't understand because that one seems like it must be right because I don't understand it. Bullshit. This test is solvable. There's one right answer. There's 4 wrong answers. If there's an answer that seems too good to be true, it's because that's the damn answer. And you're getting better at the test, so you understand the test. So the easy ones are easy. The medium ones are also easy. Once you've read it well enough to understand what it actually says, there's really only one answer you can pick. And even the hard ones are easy once you get good enough at the test. So this is like, it's just the exactly perfect bad advice.
Yeah.
Coming from one of the biggest prep companies, one of the biggest prep websites out there.
Well, it's so weird too, because it says, right, you shouldn't pick answers that seem too obvious, especially on harder questions. But if a answer choice seems too obvious, that strongly suggests that the question might be easy. How the fuck do you know if a question is hard or easy?
Yeah. Well, it's number 21, Ben, so it has to be a hard one.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, the answer is obviously B, but it's hard, so I'm not going to pick that. What? No, that's because it's actually easy. Ugh.
Just terrifically bad advice. And one wonders whether, you know, do they actually believe that? Or are they trying to make the test seem difficult so that they can like sell private tutoring?
I don't know. That's deep.
It's not deep. I mean, it like, just seems like really? It might be their business model. I just don't get why LSAT teachers try to convince their students that the LSAT is hard. Like, are you really? Don't pick answers that seem too obvious. What?
I mean,
does it
maybe
answer
the student
question
misunderstood
or not?
I don't know. Yeah, it's bad.
Well, yeah, it's like legendary, like heroically bad advice. Okay. Want to do this next one?
Yeah, the next one. This one came from Demon team member Rachel. She also shared a question that came in through the Ask button. Here's the question. I read in an LSAT prep book that you should avoid choosing answers that have recommendation language like should in the answer choice. But if the word should is seen in the passage, then it is okay to choose. The question the student was asking about was a strengthening question in which they were being asked to choose a principle that would justify the argument in the passage. Okay, so there is I can understand that there is a kernel of it's a very, very, very small kernel of truth deeply buried in this idea, but this advice is very bad because it skips over that kernel and just oversimplifies the test in a way that makes no sense.
Yeah, no, if you used this as a rubric, like I'm never picking an answer that says should unless the word should appears in the passage, then I'll pick that answer.
Yeah.
What do you do when there's 2 answers that say should?
Well, yeah, or they use a synonym of should, or the idea of should was conveyed but not explicitly stated with that word. I mean, this is where people get so fucked up because they want the test to be simple on their terms, which is like, let me just spot check for words instead of trying to understand what's actually being said. Yeah. The kernel of truth, should we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, context always matters. And it is true that, you know, like let's say that the question is asking which one, you know, if the facts above are true, which one of the following must be true. if there's an answer that says we should do XYZ, then there really needs to be evidence in the record that says we should do XYZ, or synonyms. So it could say we must, or
Or
it
it's
is
important.
advisable that
Yeah.
we, or it's important to, or I mean, there's a million different ways that they could say it. It's certainly not about like matching up the word should. Oh, it's got to have the word should, or I can't pick it. But if that if you're being asked to represent what it said in the record, if you're going to pick an answer that is normative, like this is good or bad, we should or should not, well, then there has to be evidence in the record that is normative in the same way.
Yep.
What were you going to say? I probably did that in a worse way than whatever you had in mind.
No, not necessarily. It's exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, in this case, the person was tackling a strengthening question, and you can see this like when the main conclusion in the original argument is, spiders hibernate in the winter. Therefore, spiders hibernate in the winter. Okay, so this whole argument is about whether or not spiders hibernate in the winter. So answers talking about what you should do or what spiders should do or how they should behave in certain circumstances immediately get thrown out because you're like, we're not talking about what should happen, or as you put it, we're not talking about normative things. We're just talking about descriptive things. We're talking about what happened, what was the fact, and is there evidence for that fact or against that fact?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's another turd. I'll update the scoreboard. In the history of the Thinking LSAT podcast, there have been 31 pearls, 83 turds, and 27 ties. So be careful where you're getting your advice. By the way, I think that, the first tip was from probably the biggest LSAT website there is.
Yeah.
The second tip, I think, was from the most popular LSAT book there is. So this is like just exactly wrong, terrible advice coming from kind of the main sources. And I guess that's why we've done so well, relative to other companies. It's like, well, wait, we're going to make the test easy for you. You're going to actually understand the test. If you have a Pearl versus Turd candidate, let us know at thinkinglsat.com or find us on the socials at LSAT Demon. Dexter writes in, Ben, subject is, I'm not improving on my timed sections.
Okay. Dexter writes, hi, I've been training with the Demon for about 3 weeks, and I am planning on taking the test in June. My cold diagnostic was a 162 back in April, and I've seen some improvement since then. My most recent test scores were a 172 and a 169. After listening to the podcast, I've decided to take less full practice tests and only focus on drilling and time sections.
Cool.
However, I have been struggling recently with improving my time section accuracy. My ratings with the Demon are 94 for LR, logical reasoning, and 86 for reading comprehension. Okay, so that's 94 out of 100 and 86 out of 100 for RC. When I do drills, my accuracy is near 100%, even with many level 5 questions. But when I switch over to time sections, I fall to a measly 85% accuracy, and I haven't been able to improve even after many days. I also miss so many more level 1 through 3 questions that I normally never miss. Hiding the clock and telling myself to slow down hasn't been working. Any advice on how to make my time sections more like my drills? Should I stop drilling and just do time sections? Should I have someone secretly time me? Love the podcast! !
I think you just need to take a breath, Dexter. You've only been at it for 3 weeks. 162 is an amazing cold diagnostic. And I have no doubt that you're going to be solidly in the 170s by the time you're done. I do think that you should not do very many full timed tests and instead just focus on a mix of drilling and timed sections. But your problem is you're shooting for 175 before you are reliably able to score 170 and
165. I mean, I know that the practice test scores are 172 and 169, but I actually think that was these are the recent ones. I think that's hurt Dexter. I think Dexter got a 162, like a week or two later got a 172 and thought that the trajectory is like this multiple
should be at
point
180
thing.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. With 85% understanding, Dexter, on your 85% accuracy, that really is only like a 70% understanding, because
Mm-hmm.
every question you miss indicates that there probably was another one that you half guessed on and got right without really understanding. So your demon understanding heuristic would be just 70%. Yeah, there's a lot that you're not understanding, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And that's just not lawyer shit. You're capable of understanding it when you're drilling. On your timed sections, you just have to do the same thing. You just have to solve the questions one at a time and feel good about your answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to tell you more than hide the clock and slow down. Stop finishing the sections. If you're finishing the sections right now, that's killing you.
Totally.
You got to do fewer questions and get more of them right. Then from that accuracy, you will build effortless speed, but not by trying. Not by trying to go fast.
I propose that Dexter start with an extreme number like 10. Say, hey, look, you're planning to do 10 questions in this section. I think Dexter is capable of doing more, but like let's just start with 10 and get those 10 right.
Yeah, like set up some big penalty that if you miss any of them, some embarrassing thing happens. Tell us a secret that you don't want your girlfriend to hear. And then do a time section. And if you get any one of those questions wrong in the first 10, we'll release the information. I don't know. You just got to solve one question at a time, Dexter, but I'm really not worried about you. I am not worried. I hope you're not trying to force in a June test. You know, there's no reason to take the test in June if your practice tests aren't exactly where you want them. I would just keep drilling and doing time sections. Eventually, your practice test scores are going to reach the mid 170s, and then you can safely sign up for the next official test and the one after that. And, just slow your roll a little bit on the test itself, on each question, and on your whole cycle. But this is going to work out nothing but good for Dexter.
Cool. This next one is from AP. That's the name of the correspondent. And the subject line is Law School Résumé.
Hi, Ben and Nathan. I'm a first-generation college student with immigrant parents, so your podcast has really helped me as I have very little knowledge on the law school admissions game. This will be my second time applying to law school. I naively applied 2 cycles ago with a 150 LSAT, as I felt pressured to apply quickly with no guidance prior to discovering your podcast. I'm glad you didn't go. I'm glad you decided to turn down all your offers, or maybe you just got rejected everywhere you applied, but you dodged a bullet, honestly, because you could have gotten in and you could have gotten yourself into a lifetime of debt.
Oh, as we were just talking about. Jeez Louise.
As we were just talking about at the top of the show. So you dodged a bullet, AP. I took your advice hesitantly, and I did not apply last cycle as I was not yet satisfied with my LSAT score. I am so ignorant to this process that I even applied with my traditional work resume, not knowing that I had to create an entirely different resume just for law school admissions.
Wait, who says?
I've never told anybody that.
Yeah. Okay.
Therefore, AP says, I come to you, mighty LSAT gods, seeking help in creating a law school resume. I've seen templates online, but I want to make sure I have everything that is required of law school resumes in comparison to work resumes. What should I exclude? What should I keep in? Bro, your problem is not your resume. Your problem is your LSAT score.
No, 100%. This is a total distraction. You absolutely do not need to worry about your resume, and you can continue to submit your work resume. I'm fine with that. I would rather you do that so that you let this issue die.
Yeah, you're wasting time thinking about your resume. I mean, it does need to be like pristinely edited. And based on this email, several run-on sentences, several typos, bad punctuation, just straight missing words and things. you might want to get some help looking at your resume to make sure that it's actually clean, because you might not be able to see the errors that are there. But you do not need to make a special resume for law school. Your professional resume is perfectly fine. But the real thing you need to do is you need to work on your LSAT, take practice test scores until you're happy with your or take practice tests until you're happy with your practice test scores. Then sign up to retake the LSAT. Your problem is not your softs. Your problem is your hard numbers aren't good enough. We do have some resources on how to build a resume. We have an admissions course that is available to premium and live subscribers. Covers a variety of topics, including resumes. You can find that at lsatdemon.com/admissions.
But don't go there.
But AP, not for you. If I had your demon handle, I might like restrict your access so that you couldn't look at the admissions stuff, because that's not what you should be doing. You should be getting a better LSAT. I was talking about this earlier when I was recording some demon dailies with Josh. We've talked about it on the show before, Ben. My cringe number is somewhere between 160 and 165.
Sure. Yeah. I hear you.
Lower than that, I just don't know that you're going to get the kinds of outcomes that you think you're going to get. I worry that you're going to pay too much for not a good enough school. As we talked about earlier in the show, the lower you go in the rankings, the higher those debt loads tend to be as a percentage of median income. And if you're going to law school with, say, a 155 or even a 160, I just really hope you're not borrowing money for a JD.
Have you seen the Duolingo icon on your phone when you don't do it for a long period of time?
No.
So it's a penguin.
A Tamagotchi that like dies. Oh yeah. Perfect.
And the penguin starts to get very sad and gloom.
It's a Tamagotchi.
What's a Tamagotchi? I don't even know what that is.
Tamagotchi is like it's a little toy. It's like one of those LCD screens. The old school black and white screens, like your Casio watch that you thought was cool when you were a kid.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a little pet, and you have to like feed it, play with it.
Tamagotchi sounds Japanese.
Bathe it. Yeah. And it over time it'll die if you don't like. It'll get sick and sad.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Okay, exactly.
Take care of it.
So it's the Duolingo Tamagotchi, and that penguin gets sad as you don't study, and then of course as soon as you study, it regains energy. I was imagining that we need like a Tamagotchi for LSAT scores, like
a demon.
You're
a cute little demon that you have to take care of by practicing.
By practicing, but also you could have one that's like ready for law school, and if you don't have that score yet. Like he's not like the door isn't open, like he can't open the door, can't apply, he's like, oh, I'm still working to get that door open. And even if you get the door open, that doesn't mean you should apply. The Tamagotchi
you can always open the door, peek in there and go, oh, fuck that.
What the hell's in there?
Peace out.
Yeah.
Okay. Make it happen. I look forward to seeing that in the demon, the demon Tamagotchi. I like that better, because we have like a streak, right? We have a drilling streak.
Yeah.
But so much more fun to have a little demon or demonette that you have to keep alive or keep happy, by doing a certain combination of things. I really like that a lot.
Cool.
Oh boy. Personal statement Gong show. This is the segment where we read your personal statements and offer feedback. As soon as we have an issue with it, we ring the gong and we stop reading. Your challenge is to see how long you can get us to read. The current record holder is Greta, who got us to read 10 lines of her personal statement. Jojo the Popo is our next contestant, hoping to beat that record.
Jojo the Popo? Okay.
Jojo the Popo.
I'm ready. I'll go ahead and read this one, I guess.
Okay.
I am a successful police sergeant with 9 years of experience in law enforcement.
Okay, cut successful.
Yeah.
You're telling me you're a police sergeant with 9 years of experience in law enforcement. That's great. Telling me that you're successful, it's like it has the exact opposite of the intended effect.
100%. Totally.
I just start immediately going like,
really? What the fuck do you mean?
So he's like barely making it? I don't know. It doesn't do what you think it's doing. So take that adjective out of there, please.
Yep. Next sentence. Okay, good thing here is I like that the sentence is short. You really should be spelling out 9 years probably. So not using the number.
N-I-N-E.
Yeah.
Yep. But hey, I is the subject of the sentence.
Yep.
That's great because I'm here to learn about JoJo the Popo.
And
I want JoJo to
yeah.
be the star of the show.
Star of the
which he is
show.
so far.
Yes, I love that it's short. I love it's clear. Police sergeant. Okay, so you have some real world experience, right?
Yeah. Right. And I assume that this is also on your resume, but now I'm eager to read more because I'm hoping that you're going to make your resume like spring to life here by telling me stories about your career in law enforcement.
Totally. Next sentence. I spent the first 4 years, and oddly, you spelled out 4 here. So,
yeah, that's the kind of like detail orientation error.
Yeah.
That depending on the school you're applying to, they might go, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yep.
That you're going to have that inconsistency in your first 2 sentences, like 1.2 lines into your statement. And I'm already seeing copy editing error. Okay.
Yep. I spent the first 4 years of my career on the streets answering 911 calls, getting in high-speed chases, jumping fences, and making arrests.
I would cut the getting in high-speed chases part because it sounds like too enthusiastically Dukes of Hazzard. I don't know. Like, I just don't. Why? Why are you getting in high-speed chases? Is that really required? Or is that really a good thing? Is that something that we're supposed to be celebrating? It's certainly not something that you're going to do in law school or as a lawyer. So why are you making me like it kind of feels reckless to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd probably cut that part, but I'm not hitting the gong yet. I'm still interested.
No, and I am seeing you do stuff and I'm saying, okay, this person is dealing with certainly one side of the law that is very relevant to this whole practice.
Oh, totally relevant. This is a cop on the street, probably wants to go into criminal law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next sentence. After those 4 years, I'm going to stop here. You need a comma here in just generally speaking. After those 4 years, comma, I applied for a promotion to the Criminal Investigations Division, CID, to be a detective.
No, you didn't apply for it, dude. You fucking got the job. Otherwise, you wouldn't be telling me about it.
Yeah, we don't care about the application.
Yeah. People make this mistake all the time. I don't know why it pops up on personal statements so much, but people love talking about how they applied for a thing. They got the thing. Yeah, okay. Tell me what you did in the thing.
Yeah.
I don't need you to tell me that you applied if you ended up doing it. Just tell me about what it was like to do it. So that's like a sentence that you can probably just cut.
Yeah. Just cut it entirely. Imagine that we just jump into the next sentence. We get it now. Okay, you're a detective. I served in the Crimes Against Persons Unit, CAPERS, as a domestic violence detective.
Okay.
Cool.
I primarily because I served as, it's like, that's when people say I worked as, like, yeah, okay, but what did you do? What was your work?
Totally. Well, look at this next sentence, right? I primarily investigated domestic violence cases ranging from simple assault and stalking to attempted murder while also handling other CAPERS offenses. Okay, so instead of saying I served, you could just say in the Crimes Against Persons Unit,
exactly,
comma, I primarily investigated yada yada. This sentence, by the way, it's a little bit of a you're taking a list ranging from simple assault and stalking to attempted murder while also handling other offenses. Yeah.
You just cut the last bit. The while also handling other CAPERS offenses. Yeah, no shit. You just said ranging from simple assault and stalking to attempted murder. I know that that's not an exhaustive list of all the things that you've done. You said from this to that, there's other things in between. So cut while also handling other CAPERS offenses. This is something that we see really commonly where probably half the words in your personal statement, yes, you, not just JoJo the Popo, but you, listener, if you showed me or Ben your personal statement, we would cut half the words without changing the meaning at all.
Yeah.
It's just not hard to do.
Yep.
There's so much fat in these things. So get your most ruthless friend to, just eliminate extra shit that's not doing anything.
Totally. Well, what's wild is we talk about cutting all the time. We talk about it with the team. We talk about it with the contractors we work with, and people always think it means cutting ideas.
No.
We're actually taking all the ideas that are currently there. We're pulling them out so that they actually stick out more because you've cut the fat and you make room for more ideas. So a cut document actually ends up being shorter and ironically fuller. There are more details, more facts, which is more persuasive.
Best editor I ever worked with. Shout out to Laurel Leff. She's a professor, or at least she was at the time, professor of journalism at Northeastern in Boston. And Laurel was an excellent editor of my work. And one of the things that I appreciated so much was the way she edited. She would have a red pen, it was printed assignments back in the day. And she took a red pen and she would put brackets around stuff to cut.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unbelievable how much better she could make my writing with just those brackets. I mean, she would write other stuff and she would try to rearrange things.
You're
and
just
make
cutting
suggestions and
words.
things.
Yeah.
But just the cuts, nothing else, just the cuts improved my sentences, improved my paragraphs, improved my whole story just by cutting. So there's a lot here, and in everybody's work, there's just a lot that could be cut.
Yep. So at this point, I haven't rung the gong yet. I would keep reading. I think what I would have in my head, and I think this is, we've only read one paragraph, but I would say, okay, here's a serious applicant. They have real world experience. Assuming they have the GPA and LSAT, I would be fairly interested in admitting them. Also,
I would read the rest to see if the gong rang.
Yeah.
But it's not going to change it's unless there's some shit in here that raises a red flag. I'm like, hey, look, this is a cop wants to become a lawyer. I don't have any questions.
And this writing isn't horrible.
No,
it's just not polished. So you're unfortunately you're already pushing yourself down the the law school ladder here.
Yeah, if I was really on the fence, if JoJo was facing the LOP list, where it was hey, I got 10 of these applicants
and they're all
right on the margin, and I can only take 2 of them. Writing like that, the error with the not writing out the word 9 in the first sentence, shit like that is a little lazy. The missing comma after those 4 years.
Yep.
If somebody else is not making those mistakes, then JoJo would get cut. But if JoJo is a scholarship candidate, right? If JoJo's got the grades in the LSAT, and I'm like, hey, I just want to read this to make sure JoJo's not insane, there's nothing here that I'm seeing that bothers me.
Yeah. Next paragraph. I like that the first paragraph was short too, by the way, and so is the next one. So we're not looking
short
at
sentences,
big,
short paragraphs. Love it.
Yeah. Next paragraph. I was assigned my most memorable case to this day shortly after joining the unit. Again, okay. Some third unnamed party gave you a case. That's not what we're interested in.
Yeah, I also really don't like it's like he's describing his mental state here, right? It's like, this was my most memorable case. Also to this day.
To this day, unnecessary, immediately cut. But you're setting the bar really high. Sorry, I don't mean to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just tell me the story. I don't need you to tell me it's such a memorable thing. If it's so memorable, I can't wait to hear about it. But I'm not interested in your editorialization about how memorable it is. Just go right into the details, dude. I'm here to learn about you. You don't have to sell me on the idea of learning about you. Just tell me about you.
Well, and this is where, just like successful, most memorable case has it's really setting you up for failure. Yeah. Because if you say, this is my most memorable case, and it's not that interesting, now we're like, oh, this is the best?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, who is this? JoJo?
JoJo the Popo.
Jojo the Popo continues. It was a protective order case in which the victim had received unlawful communications from the suspect.
I'm awful close to ringing the gong.
Yeah, yawn.
Well, also like making the case the subject of that sentence
Yeah.
is very boring writing. You're
Yeah.
doing nothing. You're doing the first sentence of this paragraph, you're remembering. The second sentence of this paragraph, you're not even in it.
I just scanned down too, and we're getting more stuff. I don't know how this should be discussed.
What do you mean?
Okay, so I'll just continue. I wrote my search warrant for the suspect's Apple account, got a signature from a judge, and served my search warrant to Apple. Okay. While looking through the Apple account, I discovered child sex abuse material. I completed my protective order case, charging the suspect for violating the order, and then put all my newly acquired investigative skills to the test as I embarked on my new investigation to find my victim and seek justice. I don't know. You just have to. These are serious issues that people have to deal with. I would just be careful about talking about them.
Me too. I don't know that you need to bring this up. Like, what value does this child, like, really? You want me thinking about child sex abuse right now?
Yeah, and this becomes your most memorable case. I don't know. There's how you talk about these things.
Like, right?
Cavalier?
It's a little too. Isn't it a little too like celebratory?
Yeah.
A little gleeful. Like you're
not that
telling
we're
me
saying you
about,
have those feelings, right? But it comes across potentially that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, especially, in the first paragraph, he's getting in high-speed chases.
Yep.
And now he's, I don't know, oddly like telling me how memorable it was when this is sad.
This is sad.
Right?
This is sad. Yeah.
Right. So you need to, it seems a little bit like you're pumping yourself up with this child sex abuse case where the reader is going like, oh boy, that's some dark shit. Oh, wow. I don't like that. Why is he so happy about his...
Yeah, exactly. And look at the next sentence. In the middle of my investigation, I was promoted once again. So it's just not like fitting. It's not reading the room.
Yeah. Also, you then go into like management, which you're burying the lead, dude. Like people like to do the origin story, right?
Yeah.
So you're telling me about jumping fences and high-speed chases and then becoming a detective and doing some of that work. But who you are now is a supervisor of other officers, which is far more lawyerly than jumping fences and Dukes of Hazzard car chases. So
yeah.
I would strongly encourage you, and I'm going to ring the gong here. I would strongly encourage you to rewrite and just like talk about the management experience. You can cut all that other shit. It'll be on your resume. Like you were a street cop. You could mention it in 1 or 2 sentences. I was a street cop and I worked on this range of cases. I was a detective and I worked on this range of cases. But the anecdote about the child sex abuse, cut that entirely and then like refocus your personal statement more on the management stuff because that's far more lawyerly.
Yeah, and it's gonna be implied, obviously, that you have experience and that you've done all these other things if you're a manager.
Are we saying we rang the gong at the words child sex abuse? Or did it come earlier?
No, it came earlier. I think it was that yawn sentence. It was a protective order case in which the victim had received unlawful communications.
There. It was a protective order case. I'm like, okay, go away. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you for playing. That is not a new record holder. Not terrible. A lot to work with here. I think you'll be just fine. Thank you for playing, Jojo.
Yep. All right, let's go into word of the week. This is from Demon Teacher Josh. Thanks, Josh.
Perfect timing since I said it earlier today.
Yeah, this is weird. A student asked for a definition of the word normative when I used the word in a class. All right, here's a sentence.
Sciences, however, are by definition non-normative. They describe, but they do not prescribe. So I would take from context, so non-normative means you don't prescribe. So normative must mean prescriptive.
Yep. And I'm sure a lot of
And-
people don't know what that means either.
No,
yeah.
but it's basically should
Yep.
or good or bad. Normative, like you're setting norms. Norms are like expectations. So when we say that something is descriptive, what we mean is it's telling you how it is. Normative is how it should be.
Exactly.
That's our word of the week. Ben, have you seen this page? Do you want to catch up on all of our words that have been featured on Word of the Week? Check out our archive of every word of the week at lsat.link/wow, WOW, standing for Word of the Week. I saw this yesterday and I kind of couldn't believe it.
It's a lot of words.
It is a lot of words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My God, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 70. I'm going to say, over 100 words of the week. If the team wants to add, that make me happy, Michael, if you put this page together, if you'd add a count somewhere on here, I would love that. But wow, we've been doing this show for forever, Ben. We're getting old. There's 100 words of the week there. lsat.link/wow. If you want to, by the way, these are all linked exactly to the podcast like moment where we do the word of the week segment.
Yeah.
So good job, Michael and team. You can be LSAT famous. Please ask questions or share news with us on our website, thinkinglsat.com, or on the socials at LSAT Demon. If you have questions about LSAT Demon, you can email help@lsatdemon.com. Check out our other podcast, LSAT Demon Daily. That was episode 508 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.